Hello, very good morning, children. Today, let's see the Bose model of atom. So, before we go to the Bose model of atom, let's see Max Planck's equation. Uh, Max Planck has proposed theory called as quantum theory. So, Max Planck has given an equation which helps us to understand how spectrum is produced. We understood yesterday that the spectrum is produced only when its electron jumps from one level to another level. So when an electron jumps from a higher level to lower level or from lower energy level to higher level, it either absorbs energy or it emits energy. So this radiations, whatever is emitted out, it is seen in the form of spectral lines. So with the defects of Rutherford's model, to overcome the defects with failures of Rutherford's model, Bohr has proposed his model. So before we enter into the Bohr's model, let's understand little about the Max Planck's equation. So what did Max Planck explain? So here you can see he is Max Planck. He said that energy is always emitted in packets. So whenever an electron is jumping from higher energy level to the lower energy level, or when it is jumping from lower to higher, the energy absorption or emission is always taking place in form of small packets. And he called these packets as quanta or photons. So he said that this quanta or photon is always equal to a multiple of h nu. H nu. Here h nu, he gave an equation, we call it as Max Planck's equation. E is equal to h nu. So what is this E? E is nothing but energy emitted or absorbed during the transmission of the electron from one energy level to another energy level. Here H is called as Planck's constant. Its value is 6.625 into 10 to the power of minus 34 joule second. The value of Planck's constant, experimentally it has been found out that it is equal to 6.625 into 10 to the power of minus 34 joule second. And nu, this is a Greek letter, nu is nothing but frequency of emitted radiation. So with the Max Planck's equation, Bohr could explain his model and we call it as the Bohr's model of an atom. So now let us see what Bohr has given and what did he explain regarding the Bohr's model of an atom. So what did Bohr explain us? Bohr's postulates can be mainly put under 4 points. The first point, so what did he tell us about the first thing? Actually, let us take this is the nucleus. Let's take this is the nucleus which is having inside some positive charge. So inside this you are having positive charge, or what do we say, positive plus neutrons are also present inside the nucleus. Now around the nucleus we have orbits. So this was the model which was proposed by Rutherford. So let's have the orbits here. This is first orbit. Bohr labeled them. Bohr also agreed with Rutherford and he gave his first postulate that all the positive charge is concentrated at the center of the nucleus. So entire thing is concentrated at the center of the nucleus, all positive charge, and electrons are revolving around this nucleus in specific orbits. He also said that electrons revolve around the nucleus in specific orbits, and he has given a name for each orbit. Let me just clear this and put it neatly once again. We have a nucleus at the center which is having positive charge. positive charge here. Then we have the orbits. So around these orbits, the electrons are going to revolve. So this was the same model which was put forward by Bohr also. First orbit, second orbit, third orbit, fourth orbit. So he labeled these orbits. He has given a name to all these orbits. So first orbit, this is, which is in yellow color, he gave it a number 1 or 1. Second orbit 2, he labeled it with numbers. Third orbit 3, third orbit 3, fourth orbit, fourth orbit 4. Not able to see clearly, I'll put it here. Fourth orbit. This is third orbit. Third orbit, fourth orbit, third orbit, fourth orbit, and you have second orbit here. So we have 4 orbits. He gave it numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, or he also showed it with the help of alphabets. So he gave them alphabetical numbering also. That is, first orbit is called as K, second orbit is given as L, third orbit is given as M, fourth orbit is given as N, and it goes on 5, 6 like that. And he said that when an electron is revolving, if an electron is revolving in these orbits, as long as the electron is revolving in these orbits, it neither gains energy nor it loses energy. That means, why is it not losing energy when it is rotating in these orbits? Why is it not losing energy? The reason he has given is, as long as the electron is revolving in these orbits called as stationary orbits, the electron will neither gain energy nor it will lose energy. So according to the electromagnetic theory, inside the nucleus you have protons and neutrons. How are the protons and neutrons present inside the nucleus? It's because of nuclear force of attraction there inside. While electrons, they are orbiting around the nucleus because of electrostatic forces of attraction. So according to the electromagnetic theory, if an electron is revolving around with some energy, slowly it will lose energy and it will fall into the nucleus. The atom has to collapse. But to overcome this defect, what Bohr told is, as long as the electron revolves in specific stationary orbits, that is 1, 2, 3 or so on, or KLMN, the electron will neither gain energy nor it will lose energy. So this was the first postulate which was proposed by Bohr. That is stationary orbit concept he has introduced. The second point which he has proposed in his postulate is, as long as the electron is moving. So we know that according to physics, a body which is showing circular motion, it will be in continuous motion only because of two forces. One is a force which is pulling the body towards the center, one force which is pulling the body towards the center, and one force which is pulling the body towards the center, and another force which is pulling the body away from the center. So it has two different types of forces it experiences. One force which is pulling towards the center, and the other force which is trying to push it away from the center. So the force which is trying to push it towards the center, we call it as centripetal force. Towards center, we call it as centripetal force. And the force which is trying to push it away from the center, we call it as centrifugal force. So a body which is showing circular motion, it experiences two types of forces. What are they? Centripetal force and centrifugal force. Once this centripetal force which is pulling the body towards the center and the force which is pulling the body away from the center, both are balanced, the body will be moving in a circular path. So as the body is moving in this circular path, it has some angular momentum. So what is this? The angular momentum is always constant. So as long as it is moving in this stationary orbits with specific energy, the electron will be having a constant angular momentum. For this, he has said that the angular momentum is given by the formula mvr, or we show it by I. I is equal to nh by 2 pi. 2 pi, I'll draw the pi here. nh by 2 pi. nh by 2 pi. So here m is mass of the electron, v is velocity of the electron, r is the radius of the orbit. So radius of the orbit means from the center of the nucleus to the orbit. This is the radius of the first orbit. Second, radius of the second orbit, radius of the third orbit. So it goes on like that. So as long as it is moving in this with certain angular momentum, mvr is equal to nh by 2 pi, it will neither gain nor it will not lose any energy. The third postulate of Bohr's model is, he said that the energy levels of these, we have certain energy levels. So let us take let us draw three levels here. First, all the orbits, let us take it as in the form of a level. Let us imagine this is the first orbit. So the energy level of the first orbit has some energy. We call it as its energy level. Second orbit has some energy, it's its energy level. Third orbit has some energy, it's its energy level. So let us denote the energy of the first orbit as E1, energy of the second orbit as E2, energy of the third orbit as E3. Third orbit as E3. So we have three energy levels, E1, E2, E3. E1 is the bottom level. So when the electron is in this E1 level, we call it as, it's a stationary level and it is the stable level. We call it as ground state. We call it as ground state, and we also show it as E small g, EG. EG means here ground state. So let us imagine we have an electron here in the ground level. So let us show the electron in the ground level here. Color. So let us imagine we have an electron here in the ground level. Let us take this is the electron here in the ground level. So when electron is in the ground level, it can jump to the E2 level or it can jump to the E3 level. That means the electron can go to either E1, E2 or E3. That means from here it can go to E1, E2, or it can also jump to E3. That is from ground state to third orbit level. So when an electron is going to jump from one level to another level, there is some difference of energy. So what is the difference of energy? Here you have between two energy levels, the difference of this energy is given by E is equal to energy we have said according to Planck's constant. When an electron, Planck's equation, when any electron is jumping from one orbit to another, it is always done in an integral multiple of h nu. H is Planck's constant, nu is its frequency. So here, if an electron has to jump from ground state Eg to the second orbit E2, it has to absorb h nu energy. If it is jumping to E3, that means it has to go through two steps. Two steps means from E1 to E2, one h nu, E2 to E3, another h nu. So it becomes 2 h nu. Suppose the electron wants to jump to E4 level, it will become 3 h nu. it wants to go to fifth orbit, it will become 4h nu. So it's an integral multiple of h nu. Reverse, if the electron wants, electron is in third orbit or something, and then it wants to jump back to the ground state from the third orbit, or it wants to jump back from the second orbit to the first orbit, it will emit energy. So when it is jumping from lower to higher level, it will absorb energy, h nu energy. When it is jumping from upper level to lower level, it will emit energy. Energy is released out here. Energy is going to be emitted. So how can you show the difference here? When it is jumping from E1 to E2, the energy is E1 is more or E2 is more? Where will be the energy more? E2 is high. So you will be getting minus h nu. Minus h nu. What has happened here? Minus h nu means energy has been absorbed. Absorption takes place. In the second case, when the electron is jumping from E3 to E2 or E2 to E1, it becomes E2 minus E1. E2 energy level is very high, minus E1 energy level is low, so you will get h nu. So what has happened here? Emission has taken place. So when energy is emitted and when energy is absorbed. When an electron jumps from lower to higher level, energy absorption takes place. When an electron jumps from higher level to lower level, emission will take place. So when absorption takes place, we see light intensity. If it is in visible range, that is 400 nanometer to 700 nanometer, you can see the line formations. Their absorption spectrum we can see. If energy is emitted, we can see the emission. If it is in the visible region, you can see the line formation in the spectrum. And that comes under emission spectrum. So we have different types of spectrums: absorption spectrum and emission spectrum. And our emission spectrum, you have two types: continuous spectrum and line spectrum. So in line spectrum, it's a specific for specific atom of an element. So for oxygen, one type of spectrum will come. For hydrogen, one type of spectrum will. But still, Bohr had some failures. He could explain that atom is stable, but where does his model fail? The failures of Bohr's model. So where did his model fail? The first failure of Bohr's model was he was unable to explain the formation of spectral lines. He was unable to explain spectral line formations in single electron species. He could explain only in single electron species. More than single electron is there means he couldn't explain it. So more than single electron species, he could not explain it. He could explain only in hydrogen because one electron is there. So one electron, when it jumps, it produces one line, he could explain. But he could not explain observation of two lines, 3 lines, 4 lines in the spectrum when an electron is jumping from one energy level to another level. So that it was elaborately explained. He could explain only in case of hydrogen. He said that when an electron jumps from second orbit to first orbit, you can see the formation of one line. And when electron is jumping into second orbit, you can see the formation of 2 lines. When it jumps into third orbit, you can see the formation of 3 lines. So their names are given for these spectral lines: Lyman series, Balmer series. We have different types of series names given there: Lyman series, Balmer series. We have Paschen series, Brackett series, and Fund series. So Lyman means the first one if the electron is jumping into first orbit. Balmer means electron is jumping into second orbit. Paschen means electron is jumping into third orbit. Brackett means electron is jumping into fourth orbit. Fund means electron is jumping into fifth orbit. So this was further explained. after the failures of his model. So the first defect of his model is that he could explain only in case of hydrogen. He could not explain for ions or species which have more than one electron. So he could explain for hydrogen, he could explain for He plus, he could explain for Li plus 2. Lithium is having 3 electrons. When it loses 2, it becomes Li plus. So he could explain for Li plus. That means one electron species he was able to explain, but he couldn't explain it for the other species. Later, this was overcome by Rutherford Bose model, and Schrodinger. He tried to give an explanation to overcome the Bose model by giving his concept of uh, by giving his wave equation, and later this was little more modified by Sommerfeld, who said who included circular orbit and elliptic orbit concepts, modifying the Bose model. So we consider his model as very important because we have he could give the concept of stationary orbit where the electron revolves without losing any energy. So for today, we conclude here Bose model. Tomorrow we will be seeing the Bohr-Sommerfeld model. Schrodinger's wave equation is not there for your 10th standard level. It is in your intermediate. So we will be going with Bohr-Sommerfeld model in the next class. Thank you.